Hello everyone, this is Jamal Thomas. So considering our series showing Democrats who are politically confused about their value system, the guys who I would make the case that are in the wrong party, or at the very least are being paid to do things that are against the values of that party. In Baltimore, Maryland, one of the Democrats is pushing legislation to prevent Baltimore from raising their minimum wage. They're doing it by doing an end run. So Baltimore City itself wanted to raise its minimum wage, I think, to like $15 an hour. So one of the legislators, Democrat, is trying to preclude them from doing that by passing legislation to prevent jobs from raising minimum wage and from allowing more sick time. Democrat. Let's take a look.
Of our interview, we took a look at the potential impact of passing a $15 minimum wage in Baltimore City and in Montgomery County, Maryland this year. Well, those efforts could be moot if HB 317 is passed in Annapolis. The measure would mandate minimum wages and benefits like sick days only be mandated on a statewide level. Reporter Jessel Noor covered the first hearing for HB 317 in Annapolis on Tuesday, February 7th.
Today was the first hearing of HB 317. It is a bill that would preempt cities like Baltimore and counties like Montgomery County from raising their minimum wage or granting sick days. Yesterday in Baltimore, a $15 minimum wage bill was introduced that has the support of the majority of the city council. But if HB 317 is passed, it would prevent Baltimore from raising its minimum wage. The hearing started off with testimony from Derek Davis. He's a Democrat, which is significant because many similar preemption measures passed around the country have been pushed by conservatives and backed by the billionaire right-wing Koch brothers and their legislative exchange council called ALEC. A look at Derek Davis's campaign donations shows that he's heavily backed by the restaurant industry, a fierce opponent of minimum wage increases.
I see nothing to no legislator in this state when it comes to wage and benefits for our working people. The issue for me is I'm not here, really, to be honest, I'm not here about minimum wages. I'm here about trying to maximize wages. That's my goal. I don't want our people to just get by. I want our people to thrive. And so my issue is, how do we bring those jobs, those good paying jobs, to our state?
We also heard...
No, that's not the question. That's not the question at all. The question that presented to you is, are you going to allow the people of your state to raise the minimum wage, to increase their standard of living? That's the question that's being posed to you. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Hell, I'm up for a maximum wage or to bring jobs back. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Why are you a Democrat? Why are you a Democrat? You're actively fighting against people trying to get a minimum wage. You're actively fighting against people trying to raise their minimum wage and get extra sick days. Why are you a Democrat? Why are you a Democrat? I don't understand why you're in this party. There's another party that's absolutely unempathetic and that is devoted to the well-being of the rich and the wealthy. There's the door.
Her testimony for and against the measure.
Members of the committee, I'm Melvin Thompson and I represent the Restaurant Association of Maryland. The way we see it is that labor advocates have been using local jurisdictions almost as incubators for labor policies that they want enacted statewide. And the local negative impact of such policies on businesses and jobs in these jurisdictions is the collateral damage of their strategy to force statewide policy changes through the local level.
What? What? What the hell are you talking about? You guys are... Look, man, if you want to fuck over workers, fine. But at least make sense when you're making that case. Your argument is that people are trying to incubate legislation to get... No, they just want to get paid better. They want to get paid better. You, that congressman is being paid off, the corrupt asshole that was there before. You all have a vested interest and pushing down the wages of employees, because the lower those wages, the more money you guys make. So Walmart can make billions of dollars, billions, and yet have some of the people who are working at those stores to have to get government assistance. Just because a guy works as a fry cook, certainly he should be able to eat. Certainly he should be able to pay for his rent. Certainly if he spends 8 hours a day working any job, particularly your shitty job, he should have enough to take care of himself and his family. You guys are disgusting. You're having this argument about talking about deployment strategies. They're trying to increase the amount of money they're earning per year. You guys are making billions. 95% of the gains went to the top 1%. How much more exactly do you need? 97? Even if you got 99%, this asshole will still be here saying, well, they're trying to unduly hurt business. They're trying to hurt our business. They're trying to hurt our business. However,
statewide uniformity for wage and benefit laws and regulations is also critically important for preserving a level economic playing field among Maryland businesses, and also
I don't know what that means.
Compliance confusion for businesses that operate in multiple jurisdictions.
Are businesses that stupid where they don't know how to comply with laws? He says business confusion. I mean, look, many of these guys are fucking idiots. They can't figure out, you know, that this is a $10 minimum wage and that's a $12 minimum wage. They can't do that. That's complex math. Why are you a Democrat? I keep asking this question. Why are you a Democrat? Why are you a Democrat? How are you a Democrat voting against a minimum wage increase? Even Hillary Clinton was for like $10 or $12. You're in the Democratic Party and you're actively attacking workers. And look, that's what it is. You're actively attacking workers. They're trying to raise their income to $15 an hour. That is barely minimum wage. And if we're being honest, if productivity kept up with minimum wage, that price would be like $20. But your understanding is, well, no, we don't want to pay people a living wage. We don't want to pay people a decent, bare minimum existence because that's going to confuse our business owners. And it's going to create an unfair economic playing field, whatever the hell that means. I don't care about your profits. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I don't care. Figure this shit out. Your profits, your discomfort, your difficulties does not trump those people having a living. Full stop. Full stop. Look, I made this point before. As a human being, you intrinsically have value. The society needs to respect that value. And while I may disagree, I think people work far too much and everything else. If they're going to chain themselves to a particular company, if they're going to chain themselves to a job, most of these jobs aren't jobs that people necessarily want to go to. They do it because they need to make a living for themselves. Why are you punishing these guys? You're already... Ted Kennedy has this awesome speech where he's on the floor of the Senate and he is absolutely losing his shit, screaming at the top of his lungs, how much more greed is enough? That is the question, right? That's the question. And the idea that you have some Dino, some Democrat in name only, sitting on a board talking about he wants to bring jobs back. That's why he doesn't want to raise the minimum wage. You guys are just... What are your values? What are your values? Do you value business or do you value your constituents? Clearly by that vote, it is not your constituents. It's not your constituents. I would guarantee you that if you ask the people of that state, would you like to raise your minimum wage? I guarantee you those people would say yes. And no, being a fry cook does not mean that the person hasn't earned the right to have food or medicine. I don't give a shit what he has. I don't give a shit what he's earned. As a person, he has value. Society should recognize that value. Stop trying to fuck these people over. Get the hell out of our party. Or at the very least, get out the Democratic Party. You have a party that's already unempathetic. You already have a party that caters to the rich. We do not need you and your types in this one. Get lost. Thanks, guys.